floating the idea that in 2028 I'm going to run for Mayor of London. But I don't want to be called Mayor of London. I want to be called Mother of London, M-U-V-V-A. Thank you. Oh my God.
It's for you. Look at your little face. Talk to me about what was happening here.
For a long time, I was a really sad girl, you know?
Why?
And I think just life.
Fair. Fair enough.
And I think my hair was relaxed here as well.
Wait, how old were you?
Exactly, 4. Why was my hair relaxed at 4 years
Kelechi.
old? Why was I trying to lay it down at 4 years old? At this point, my mum would have moved to England, and so I stayed in Nigeria. So my dad would look after me as well as my mum's brother and his wife. And I remember vaguely being taken to the hairdressers in Lagos, Nigeria, probably around Mushi or Fadeyi, which means nothing to anybody but baby, roughest of the rough.
Really?
Yeah. And so I can remember vaguely eating something that was spicy, my hair being relaxed at the same time, so my scalp was also spicy.
Burning.
Everything was burning, the sensation, I was on fire, oh my God. And so...
At your young age.
Just 4. I think if you look at this little girl, I remember my aunt, who's passed away now, I was watching cartoons at my uncle's place, that was his wife, and I laughed at a cartoon that I was watching, as one would do. And then she had this whole thing, and I remember even being this young, that she had this whole thing where she was like, oh, she's possessed. So I very much remember, even at this age, being left in a church, but I was left there overnight. This baby girl is my driving force for any other child, regardless of gender, that is vulnerable in that way. I want for life to be better for them. So I built a children's home in Nigeria with my mum, and it opened May 2024. And currently we've got 11 children that live in a children's home. And that's a way of disrupting the orphanage industrial complex, where they're just bringing children in and could be a facade for child trafficking. Whereas whereas this house is for them, they can live there as long as they want.
Really?
Yeah, because then I'll just build another one. They'll be money, let's make more.
That's true.
Money's not real.
Yeah.
So in some way I can attract it and then do very real things for very real children.
That's incredible.
You know? So I'm glad that that's there, because for me, it's not a story that kind of ends in sadness. She's my hope.
Talk to me. What's happening here?
Oh, so this is when I just touched down in London.
Is that Mumsy?
And that's my mum. I would have been, 7 then? And you know what? I'm glad that she's in this picture, because my mum wasn't that kind of mum. She doesn't know how to do hair.
Oh, really?
She doesn't know a single thing.
Interesting.
You can put a hair strand in front of her, she'll look at it. And like, she does not know how to do hair, because she would just go to get her hair done and she'd have like gorgeous hairstyles.
Yeah.
So my hair was relaxed and it was slicked to the gods. Slicked. And then they added and then they did one swoopy swoop at the front. Yeah, and then they added like red gems. I remember my mum had this one hairstyle that I went to school with, and I remember the hairdresser saying, this one, we'll call it Elvis Presley. So you can just imagine how she braided my hair. You can imagine how this woman braided my hair, and then the front of it was just like this.
Coming from Lagos to Peckham, what was that like?
It wasn't too bad, because Peckham was little Lagos.
Yes.
Because I could walk down the street, I could walk down Rye Lane, I could walk down Peckham High Street with my mum, and people would be speaking Yoruba, which is my mum's dialect. And you have community, and community is so important, especially when it comes to well-being, especially when it comes to hair care. Because what are the girl them doing that live in the Cotswolds? What's happening with their hair?
Next photo, please. Is this relaxed?
Yeah, relaxed.
So we're still relaxing. How old are we?
So here, I think I would have been about 9.
Did you have good relaxers? Because I had scabs.
I had terrible relaxers. All I remember is burning and scabs.
That's the same.
It's just terrible. Beauty, desirability in our society is a currency. And people try to pretend that it's not and tell you that, oh, you just don't feel a little bit beautiful, love yourself. What the hell does that mean in a society that won't give me a job? They won't give me housing.
Yeah.
I know that there are black women out there who don't want to see their hair as political, but literally everything about what is encased within black womanhood is in fact political. And until we start to kind of pull these things apart and redefine what they mean for us, I don't see us really getting anywhere.
Kelechi, talk to me. So you come over here to Little Lagos. Was your school in Peckham?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, talk to me about your experience in that school, and was there anything in relation to hair?
To be fair, I think primary school was pretty okay.
Okay.
Secondary school, though, that was in Elephant and Castle. That's when I started to notice something. So I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Our head teacher was a nun.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and so
whole nun.
It was very interesting, that whole dynamic, because, for instance, Zoe, let's use it as a name, could dye her hair and do what she wanted to do with her hair. But if I added gold bits to my extensions on my hair, I would be sent home. But because Zoe's white, so Zoe
that must be it.
Yeah, Zoe can experiment.
But I can't.
But we can't.
I get sent home.
Yes.
Okay. What were your favourite children's books?
What's interesting is that I don't think I had favourite children's books, and that's why I wanted to write them, because I just didn't see myself enough in any of them. Yeah. And I think that would make you feel othered constantly. And, you know, big up Trish Cook, who, you know, we started seeing more books come out down the line, but I didn't have access to books in that way. Yeah. I think the first kind of books that I started interacting with that was really talking about race and blackness was coming into it was probably Mallory Blackman. Noughts and Crosses. Same. So it wasn't a picture book.
No, and it wasn't. So that was a heavy book.
Everything that I do, I feel like I want to give back to this little girl.
Whilst we're here, I'm just going to take a second to pause so that we can thank our sponsors. This season of Texture Talks is brought to you by our fabulous sponsors, Garnier, and their new range, Method for Curls, which has been tested for all curl types, even coily afro hair. I personally have been using it, I think, for well over a month now, and the results have been amazing. I've been able to use the products to not only bring out my curls, but keep my hair moisturized from one wash day to the next. A full week of not just hydration and moisture, but also hold, which is incredibly hard to achieve without a curl cream or a gel. So trust me when I tell you, this is one of my now favorite products. The best things about these products are the ingredients. So we have shea butter, which I absolutely love, and helps to infuse a huge amount of moisture into our strands, but also hyaluronic acid, which helps to seal that moisture and the hydration in. If you do want to go ahead and try, which I highly recommend, it will be available at Amazon, Boots, Superdrug, basically all your major retailers. And what you do, please make sure you come back and you tell me exactly how your hair found it. Okay, so bodies. Giving.
Body yada.
Giving.
So this hair was really inspired. I want to say this was around 2018. Okay. 2018. Okay. I was going to a friend's wedding. Yeah, okay. And so I wanted to have a braided wreath on my head.
That's exactly what it was giving,
right?
So well done.
And so I think I actually did this by myself. Yeah, I bought the hair expressions. Really? Yeah, bought expression, $2.99 a pack.
Yes.
And then braided it down. And then wrapped, I packed my hair down flat, because around 2011, I stopped relaxing my hair. I wanted nothing to do with relaxing.
You had enough?
Yeah.
So at this point in your life, roughly how old are you?
I would say late 20s.
Okay, late 20s. So what was late 20s Kelechi doing?
Minding her business. I was teaching pole dance. By this point, maybe I'd opened my own studio, my first pole dance studio.
So when did you start developing into author activist Kelechi?
I don't know. I think that I started tweeting more. The more I delved into black feminism, I started talking more about the theories around black feminism. Okay. And Twitter was the main space that I would do that. And I remember one woman friend of mine DMing me on Twitter and saying, can you please stop sharing your thoughts for free? I think she was the first person to say, I've been asked to write this article, but I think you should write it. Yeah.
Kind of. That never happens.
Right. And so then I wrote my first piece. I think maybe it was for the Metro or something. And from then, everybody else started asking me to write. It was by accident. I was talking and telling my stories, and people went, you're a storyteller.
Talk to me about becoming an author.
It was around 2020, I believe, and I was asked, would you consider writing a short story for an anthology about love stories by women of colour? I instantly knew the story that I wanted to write. Yeah. Two people who fall in love in every lifetime, but they don't remember that they've ever met before. And so that's how The Watchers came to be. But the backdrop of that was the transatlantic enslavement of Africans. So they're meeting for their first date in Liverpool. They're meeting at the Slavery Museum, and she's like, who the hell chooses a slavery museum for a first date? And so they start chatting, but as they're chatting, we also go into the other lifetime
where they've done this
where they've done this before.
When did you start being able to tell stories like this?
I think because Nigeria is of an oral culture, like we story tell. And I think that when we think about colonialism and the fact that so many books and things were burnt, we had to tell our stories in order to remember ourselves, right? And so I think that has been infused in me from early. Every story in Edge of Here, the short story collection, is another way of me sharing my observations about society. The primary thing is having Black women as protagonists and protecting them as they explore a very dangerous world, especially how that world intersects with technology as well, because technology hasn't been kind to women, nor has it been kind to Black women. There's another story called Broom, where a couple ends up going to a wedding at a plantation, but the souls that were enslaved at that plantation, they are very much present, saying this wedding is not going to go ahead.
First of all, you look absolutely fire here.
Thank you.
The colour is stunning. And you look stunning.
Thank you.
So what's happening here? Where are you? Which carpet?
Amongst the carpets.
Which red carpet are you on?
So this was the British Fashion Awards, December 2024. I just loved it so much.
Yes.
And for me, it represented so many things. So I was actually invited as a guest of Afro Hirsch's. And Afro Hirsch, amazing writer, amazing thinker. And she invited me to go along with her. And I really relished the moment because talking about the things that I talk about in the manner that I deliver it means that I'm often left out of certain fancy parties and things like that. Because
doesn't actually surprise me.
She's the activist girl. She's, you know, we don't want her coming to loud up the ting over here. Let her stay where she is. So when I got the invite through AFWA to attend the British Fashion Awards, I said, I'm going to give the girls fashion. And I think for me, it represents moving into different areas of society that I didn't think I would be in. And it showed me that being authentic to myself and having integrity doesn't always mean that I will be left out of things forever. There might be a delay, but oh baby, I'm gonna be there.
I'll be there.
I will join you lot there. I will enter the same trouser with you all. I'll join you there. Watch me.
Well, you look absolutely stunning. Can we talk about Wagwan with the hair?
The hair.
Yes, please.
Oh my God.
Please.
So my hair was actually designed by a phenomenal stylist called Tara Michelle.
Okay.
She mainly does locks, which is why I went to her. She specializes in like retightening locks and designing locks. I loved her vision because for her, building around and on top of and in and around my locks is an art form to her.
Yes.
So she was very particular, like this wave has to fall like this. I'm gonna add a ring here to really give a glint of light. I was so joyful. And everyone that I walked past is like, you're absolutely the best dressed here. I hope that you know that. I said, wow, is it? Right? And then the next day I wake up and I'm on best dressed list. I said, look at that. Look at that. I told you, look, you should have been inviting me already.
Time.
Let this be the last time that I'm going as a +1. Let this be the last time.
The thing I like about you is the experimentation, but it's the experimentation with like this intent to be aligned with who you are.
Exactly. It has to be Afrocentric at all times. At no point am I deviating from what my features are. So every time I remind you, I'm Nigerian.
Hello.
Nigerian. Thanks so much.
Don't forget. Well, you look incredible.
Thank you.
Okay, next photo for me.
Next photo.
Yay!
Oh, this picture I love. I'm joyful because I've won this award.
I see
the
Which
Limitless Black Influence Award for politics.
Well.
For politics.
It's a solid award as well, you know.
Yeah, to come from such a long way of just yapping on the internet.
Yappa.
Yeah, yapping girl on the internet.
To a big award.
To award for politics. And I was in a category with so many other people that I admire for their minds.
Right.
So to win the award, it just, felt amazing.
Love this photo. Talk to me.
Yeah, so this was the closing out of a chapter. So this was the final live show for my podcast, Say Your Mind.
Yes, amazing podcast. Amazing podcast, genuinely.
I really wanted a style that was representative of the deities, of the Yoruba deities that I think have ridden with me and protected me for this long. And really going back to the indigenous Yoruba looks, where it's a braid and it's cowrie shells. Cowrie shells giving wealth, You know, the kind of wealth that might not be understood by the mainstream, but matters to me.
It's cultural wealth.
Yes.
It's just an emanating of joy.
Joy, and I'm so proud that I did this. When I looked out into the audience, I was like, these people showed up for me. They didn't know what I was going to say today, but they showed up for me. They showed up to help me close out a major chapter in my life.
So, as of right this second, today, how do you feel having gone through all of that with your hair, but also with just you as a person?
Growth. You know, from what I can see in all of this, as we've gone through the timeline and where I am currently, it's growth. Like literally my locks have grown. My locks have literally grown. I'm growing. And who knows what's going to happen next. I mean, I keep floating the idea that in 2028 I'm going to run for Mayor of London. But I don't want to be called Mayor of London. I want to be called Mother of London, M-U-V-V-A.
That's
when
fine,
they see
whatever
me,
you
they're
want.
like, Mother, one mother.
I feel like we've come full circle. If you look at this beautiful baby's face, like honestly, this baby's face, it clutches at my heart. What would you say to baby Kelechi right now?
I want little baby Kelechi to know that she belongs. And in order to do that, there are certain things that need to shift in society. And that has been my driving force to shift them. Because everybody should feel like they belong. Every child should feel like they belong. And so even thinking about, Mother of London, all of these things, I want for London as a city to be a better place for all of us to live, to feel like we belong. When we look at gentrification, we look at all of these things. It's about being displaced. Constantly we are being displaced. If we're being displaced physically, we're also being displaced spiritually. And we need to find our way back to ourselves. So this is me finding my way back to her.
Nowadays, in the world that we're in, people don't really want to have these kind of conversations. I think they make people uncomfortable. I find comfort in the discomfort, but I have respect, as we've said, for those who don't. But I'm going to keep trying.
Yes, and we have to. Once we make it look homely, come here.
Look how nice
it's so uncomfortable, but join us.
Come sit down. Shut the door, lock the door, lock the door. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.